It's 2025 and self-publishing has become an amazing way for aspiring authors and new authors to get their works out into the world without having to go the traditional route of looking for a publisher, building up an audience, getting a large following, and getting someone to notice them. However, one of the big downfalls with self-publishing is not really knowing how to market your book, because publishers traditionally have that marketing power behind them. They have contacts, they have money to get ads out, and all of that good stuff. And so, having worked with many self-published authors, I know the specific routes that individuals should take if they're planning to go down the route of self-publishing. So, if you have self-published your book or you're looking to self-publish your own book, be sure to watch this video because I'm going to give you a number of ways that is going to help you get your book out into the world through PR. What's going on, everyone? I'm Dylan, the PR guy, and today let's talk about how to market and do PR for your self-published book. Now, before starting, the first thing that I want to say is for anyone that I've ever worked with, whether it's an author or someone else in a different industry, a product, a service, whatever, if you're going to do PR, you really have to be full of yourself. Now, I don't mean prideful or obnoxious or something like that, but I mean you have to be willing to talk about yourself. You have to be willing to go out and be like, look at me, look at what I've done, look at what I'm offering, look at my book, look at my service, look at my product, whatever it is. You have to be willing to talk about yourself and be really prideful about what you're doing. So many people that I've worked with are so humble, like, oh, I've started a business and look at what they have a really hard time with going out and being like, look at me. You have to have that kind of personality. It doesn't need to be obnoxious, but you have to be someone where you have to be in the spotlight. You have to have a personality where you have no problem being in the spotlight or taking the spotlight and putting it on yourself. So with that said, if that's something that you struggle with, I highly recommend that you start developing that personality now because it's really important. Now, with that said, let's talk about books. Okay, if you're going to become a self-published author, the first thing that you probably might not have is a large following on social media. Okay, there's a lot of self-published authors that I've worked with that come to me because they don't have a large following. They had a desire to write this book. They went through the process. They got it published. It's on Amazon or some other platform. And now they're like, well, what do I do? How do I get the sales? They don't think that far ahead. They just have this desire to get a book out into the world, and they did it. So the first thing that I highly recommend is get a LinkedIn. Having a Instagram or a Facebook is a great start. Okay, but if you don't have a large following, I highly recommend getting a LinkedIn, connecting with people that you've worked with in the past, connecting with people that you know now, connecting with businesses, people of interest, stuff along those lines. Why do I say that? Because LinkedIn is an area where so many people are willing to support other entrepreneurs. They're willing to support other businesses. They want to go out there. They want to see successful people. And so, especially with books, if you say, hey, I wrote a book, look at this is what it's about. People are willing to do it because they want to support you. I'm not saying that you're going to get, thousands of sales, hundreds of sales, or even dozens of sales, but it's a great way to kickstart things. It's a great way to start making those connections and building your following from the start. So, if you have an Instagram, if you have a Facebook, great. I highly recommend going and getting a LinkedIn. It is a great way for many self-published authors to get their start and start building that following. And plus, like I said, the individuals there are more willing to help and support you and go and buy your book because they want to support other authors, entrepreneurs, businesses, so on and so forth. So that's step number one. The second thing that I highly recommend you do is go and write a press release about your book. I'll put a couple of platforms that I use in the description below, but there's a number of different platforms and they all have different results, and I use different ones for different needs. Some are really good to provide backlinks and SEO. Others are great for getting into national media, and some are great for specific targeting in niches and industries and businesses, so on and so forth. So I'll put a couple of platforms below, but I highly recommend that you write a press release. Why is that? Well, the first thing that I always recommend is you want to boost your SEO. On the back end, when someone's going into Google and they're searching, hey, what's a great book about X, Y, or Z? Okay, in your press release, talk about those specific topics. Don't just continuously put your book's name and all that kind of stuff in the release. You want to think, what is my core audience actually going to look for, and put that topic and those words into your press release. Okay. Talk about, I am so-and-so, or, it has to be in third person, but you can be like, so-and-so recently wrote a book about X, and the stuff that they talk about are Y and Z, and readers can expect ABC. And at the end, you have, so on and so forth. Okay. It's just really important that you get a press release out because it is going to boost your SEO. It's going to boost Google searches, and you want to find those new audiences for people who are searching online for new books. because obviously an avid reader, depending on what type of book and what industry, whether it's an adventure book, whether it's a children's book, whether it's a business book, whether it's a different type of niche, a press release is huge, especially if you don't have a large following. Because again, it goes back to, if you're a self-published author and you don't have a large following, you need something to start boosting your credibility. If you have a website for your book, you're able to go in there, and when you release, you send out your press release and you get a couple of pickups, you can put a trust badge, which is as featured on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so on and so forth. So it's really critical that you get a press release out, and in that press release, you boast about yourself a bit. And again, it has to be in third person, or look at, whatever platform you're using, their specific criteria, but boast about yourself, talk about your book, what it's going to cover, what you can expect, what type of genre, what, other topics, because it can be an A genre, but it has different types of subtopics in there. So you really got to think about, okay, what is my reader looking for? What do they want to know about? Just so you know, a typical press release, it can be anywhere from $50 to a few $100s, depending on the platform. The next tip that I recommend is looking at your ad dollars. What do I mean by that? Well, like I said earlier, if you have a publisher, they have that money behind them and they are marketing and advertising the crap out of your book. Okay. They're looking at every possible route, from, hey, can we get published here? Should I work with this person? So on and so forth. You have to have a budget for marketing and advertising. You have to be able to go and put some ad money and marketing money into this. So what do I recommend you do with that ad money? Well, there's a number of things. The one thing that I highly recommend that you look into is looking through book influencers, looking through YouTube channels that review books, looking through social profiles that also review books. Those are huge. Okay, look for those high-end ones that have anywhere between 10,000 and a few 100,000 followers. Same thing for YouTube channels, so on and so forth. Now, here's the thing. When you're talking to them, you might, on the lower end, okay, if someone's 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, they might review the book for free. They just want free books and they're trying to grow their platform. Okay? But you're still getting the benefit of those individuals who still have a semi-decent following, and you're getting that without having to put too much money. But once you start hitting the 50, 75, 100,000 plus, that's where you're starting to look like, okay, this might be $100 for a book review, or it might be $200 for a book review and a link, or, something along those lines. It just really depends. Same thing with YouTube channels. For those influencers who have a YouTube channel, it might be $100 for X, $200 for Y, and $300 for Z, or however they work it. With that said, those are some of the best routes to get a new following, to get some initial sales, and to really get your foot in the door of starting to market your book, because it can range from free to a few $100s. So that's the first route. The second route is you gotta push it out on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. Those are huge. And what I highly recommend doing is doing a video. Put yourself out there. Put yourself as the author. People love to connect with authors. So when you're creating your video, put yourself in front of the camera, talk about yourself, talk about why you wrote the book, what the book's about, what you hope to accomplish with the book, and thank your audience for anyone that is going to go check out the book. Because they want to feel that you care about them, that you're connecting with them, and they want to know you as an author. Okay, people connect with authors. It's huge. It's critical. It's what you got to do. You can do some ads on Amazon as well. I've seen some benefits there. Again, you want to connect as an author. So when you're doing the ads on social media, put yourself out there. Sales through Amazon, or if you use another platform, again, that's just getting the initial person through the door. They're not necessarily able to connect with you. It's going to be connected through the book. Lastly, on those ad dollars, you might want to look at traditional media. Okay, maybe, is there paid media out there? With that said, you're not going to see a lot of results all the time with paid media opportunities. Oftentimes, it's someone that goes, oh, look how many, hits we get a month on our website. This is how many readers, this is how many people read our newsletter. Paid media opportunities, unless it's a huge platform, a trusted platform where there's great opportunity, there's a great ROI. Okay, if you're looking at niche specific publications, you really got to look at the results. Ask for, hey, what are the sales that X person has gotten when they've bought your packages, so on and so forth. Or ask for a media kit to really read through it and go, okay, this is great, this is good, I can see this, I understand that. To know that you're really going to have a good ROI. Because again, having worked in marketing and PR, especially for self-published authors, they buy a package through someone, they see nothing, they spent anywhere from $200 to $1,000 on something, no results. And it's again because these publications that are smaller, that don't have a great ROI, they're going to boast about themselves and be like, look how many hits we get a month on our website, look how many people are part of our newsletter, look at our social following. Okay, and those numbers aren't always real. All right, the next tip that I have, it's kind of a 2-in-1. 1, plan a book tour, and 2, hire someone in PR. If you hire a PR professional to help with a book tour, they're able to go in there, they know how they work, they know what they're looking for, because when you're doing a book tour, you essentially have to have a number of books. You have to have a media package ready. You have to essentially give them, hey, here's a media list. This is the amount of people that I typically bring, or this is what my book offers. Looking at everything, this is probably what you're going to be able to expect from me. They typically want a snippet of the book where it's either a chapter or a couple of pages so they can read and have a good understanding. They want a picture of you. They want a bio of you, what you've accomplished, your socials, so on and so forth. PR professionals just going to be able to lay it out in a way where when you're going and planning a book tour, you're able to go in there and really be able to just focus on selling the book and selling yourself, getting your audience, getting those sales, and letting your PR pro help with all the stuff on the back end. The other side of that is when you're doing a book tour, it's much easier to be able to land media, both from a local perspective as well as a national perspective, getting into those bigger media publications or these niche publications that are focused around your book. And when you hire a PR pro, you need to let them know, hey, this is what I want specifically. Because as PR professionals, we always go, okay, I understand that you want PR, but what is it you want specifically so we can focus on those goals? Otherwise, we're just going to go, okay, this is what I think the best route is based on what they're doing, their book, themselves, so on and so forth. And trust me, you may think just because we're PR professionals that we know how to read minds. We don't, because there's so many times where this person wants X, we provide Y because they didn't tell us they wanted X, and now the end result is Z. So trust me, just lay out what you're wanting. I want to get on media to help, boost my credibility, because there's a difference between wanting to get credibility and wanting sales, or I want sales. They might go, okay, well, if you want sales, we have to go down this route compared to that route. It could be longer, it could be quicker. And the last tip that I have for you is make an audiobook. Okay, with all my clients that I've helped do their books with their self-published authors, I always tell them, do an audio version, even if you have to do it yourself. If it takes a weekend, if it takes 2 weeks, make an audio version. Here's the reason. Reading is it's a beloved pastime. Okay, people love reading, or if they're doing it for business, or if they're doing it for pleasure, whatever have you. Okay, an audiobook is the way to go. If you have a stay-at-home mom who loves to read, but she doesn't have time because she has kids running around, the best thing that she can do is put on an audiobook while she's working on lunch, working on dinner, working her chores around the house. Or if you have a business professional who, hey, I'm working, but I don't want to listen to a podcast, I want to listen to a book, they can go and they can put it on. It's really hard to find the time to read when someone is super busy, depending on their lifestyle. Okay, if someone's single and they have that extra time at the end of the day, or like to do before they go to bed or whatever have you, it's a completely different story. You need to know who your target audience is and what they are looking for and what they need. With that said, I hope all of these tips helped you out and gave you an idea on what you should do, what to look for, how to begin your self-published journey. I really admire anyone who goes out and starts writing their book and goes down the self-publishing route. It's hard, it's difficult. Trust me, I've worked with a number of self-published authors. It's a very difficult process, and I admire you for going out and doing that. If you have any questions or want to know any specifics, put them down in the comments below. I'll go down there and answer them. Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Okay, I put out content all around PR, from authors, business, trending topics, what's going on here, what's going on there, what are stuff that people are looking for. So if you enjoy the content, be sure to like the video and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.